Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another RPG News Roundup, this time for November 23rd, 2024, where each week I take a look back at the week in tabletop, computer, and console role-playing game news and bring you the highlights. As always, we will start with computer and console role-playing game news. Chernobylites is getting a Switch version. The survival horror RPG will hit the Switch on December 13th, 2024, in a complete edition with a full game on all current content updates, as well as a premium edition which will include additional material as well as the currently existent DLCs. Then, Flint Treasure of Oblivion has another release date announced since it was delayed. It will now release on December 17th of this year. It'll target the PS5, PC, Xbox Series X/S. It will be a tactical RPG set during the golden age of piracy. Mandragora is going to release on April 17th of 2025. It will be an action RPG / Metroidvania style game with Souls-like elements where you enter into a dark realm of entropy. It looks like it will target the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X/S, as well as the Switch. Meg's Monster will be getting a DLC called The Lost Memories. It will add an hour or two of new content that delves into the backstories of the various monsters, and will be targeted for the Japanese physical release on April 25th of 2025, with a global release to follow thereafter in digital format. This Progress Order will be a new guild management fantasy RPG from the developer of Rune Factory 5. It'll target the PC and the Switch. There is a Japanese release set for April of next year. No current Western release announced, but these usually follow thereafter. The Starbites has been announced for sometime in 2025. It'll be a casual action RPG simulation style game where you follow a girl's progress around a planet called Bitter, scavenging for parts and treasures when she encounters something called the Oracle. Imperial has been announced. It will hit sometime in 2025 and will target the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X/S. It'll be a single-player action RPG where you control an elite mercenary on an expedition on an unexplored planet. Of Ash and Steel will be a medieval action RPG in a third-person style meant to capture the essence of classic old-school RPGs. Then there's Dante's Ring, an adventure roguelike RPG. It'll enter early access, although no date has been set yet, and deal with the forces of nature during a volcanic eruption that crosses between worlds. Call of Elendra will be a PC-focused RPG meant to combine parts from Super Nintendo-era action RPGs and cozy farming sims. As far as actual releases go, I'm pretty sure this isn't necessarily a full-on RPG, but more of an in-depth survival sort of immersive sim. Stalker 2, Hearts of Chernobyl was released. Taking place in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, you have to survive a post-apocalyptic setting as you make your way through to the heart of the area. Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms, was released. It is an action RPG with an isometric view and a hack and slash style of play. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, got its final update. This coincides with its bundling into a Game of the Year edition, which includes all of the paid DLCs as well as free add-ons in one package. Card Air is an old-school card game-based RPG where you explore, collect, and build your decks in a collectible card format. Luma Island is a co-op adventure sim RPG where you build your dream farm, master various professions, mine, collect items, treasures, and so forth. Skyguard Arena was in early access. It is a tactical turn-based strategy RPG where you lead a team in a fantasy world of floating islands. Depths of Endor Dungeon Crawler is a turn-based roguelike dungeon crawler with a very text-heavy presentation where you join guilds, explore dungeons, collect loot in a very simplistic old-school style presentation. Tower of Aghasba is another one that I'm not sure how much of an RPG it is. It's entered early access and is an open-world creature collector style adventure type simulator, whatever. High School Crisis saw its release. It is a dungeon crawler JRPG where a group of students is thrown into a demon realm. Dokimon Quest, with a D, is a creature collector RPG / JRPG where you capture monsters to battle alongside you. Adventure Time is a roguelike RPG where you explore various dark dungeons seeking ever more powerful loot. It is somehow both turn-based and claims to be action roguelike. It's a very text-heavy format as well. Again, there's a couple of those out this week. Interesting to see. Makes me want to actually program my own because that way I don't have to worry about graphics. Demiurges is a classic turn-based strategy game similar to the Might and Magic series with deck-building mechanics in early access. Finally, there is Dungeon Clawler, which, again, not sure how much of an RPG it is, but the basis is funny. It is a roguelike deck builder designed around a dungeon crawler in a claw machine. So, one of those where you drop down, grab things, and move back. Yeah. Anyway, on to tabletop RPG news. A few interesting things are out there, but I tend not to cover gossip or just standard industry stuff, no matter who's mentioning who, even if I particularly like it. I just focus on actual releases and upcoming plans. So, on to, the minor and PDF releases. We'll start with Branded with an Unholy Sign. It is a set of rules for characters to gain brands, which then grant them powers. It is available in Starfinder, Pathfinder, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and 5th Edition formats. Then Beyond the Horizon has an adventure anthology, collected adventures from that developer, level 1 to 5 range. It is available in Pathfinder 2nd Edition as well as D&D 5th Edition versions. Figgy Pudding Steals Christmas is a short holiday-themed adventure, this time in Pathfinder 2nd Edition version. They put other versions out before. The Eye of Agamemnon is available for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Is an adventure where characters seek refuge from the coming storm in a strange place full of weird relics, fanatics, and hidden dangers. And when did we start calling characters players? There was a very specific reason that you set those two apart. And now it seems, the players do this, the players do that. No, it's the characters doing that. If your players are facing death, you've got an issue. Okay, anyway. Mixed Up Myths, False Objects, is a collection of Pathfinder 2nd Edition false objects, that is, objects that are somehow alive. Then there's Ancestries Enhanced Part 2, a collection of improvements to existing ancestries for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Murders at Lorlac Manor is a 5th Edition adventure dealing with 2 murder mysteries, so it's actually 2 of them. Pirates of the Ethereal Expanse, Episode 1, Treasure of the Shitgrave Reef, is from the Fable series, is a 5th Edition compatible adventure set in a realm of high fantasy and seafaring piracy. I guess they're competing with the Warhammer 40,000 for the longest titles. Anyway, Stonehome Games has 2 5th Edition one-page adventures from the Village Vault. There's a Village Vault Surprise Party, and from the Village Vault, Return of the Mutant Beasts. Everon Games has a number of 5th Edition compatible adventure kits out, each one pretty much an adventure with everything you need to run it. There's Heart of the Forest, Purple Trail, Slayer Masquerade, Tides of Terror, and a Lullaby of Stones. Secrets of Evershade is a 5th Edition one-shot adventure for level 5 characters dealing with a once peaceful frontier town on the brink of collapse. The Obelisk is a 5th Edition adventure game a group of explorers has discovered an unusual obelisk within an ancient forest that has apparently just arrived. The Old Copper Foundry is a short 5th Edition adventure with scaling for levels all the way from 2 to 20. I mean, not every level, but they've got level brackets in there. And I think they even have a version for epic levels as well. A Hill to Die On is a 5th Edition drop-and-play adventure designed around a race against time to craft defenses and lead defenders against waves of cultists and their champions. So basically a tower defense style adventure. The Spires of Ezekiel is a mini-campaign for 5th Edition designed around advancing into a jungle looking for a set of ancient towers. The Lantern Bearer is a 5th Edition mini-adventure dealing with villagers being lured out into the woods only to vanish. The Goblin Pit is another 5th Edition adventure where a coastal village has been beset by bands of goblins coming from an old stronghold. Elven Tower has a couple of adventures for both 5th Edition and Shadowdark, both in one. There is Thick Blood, and then there is Challenge of the Ashen Ones. Or the Ashen One, rather. Thrones and Bones, the Apterganger's Challenge is an adventure book compatible with Tales of the Valiant, but I'm popping it here just because otherwise it would be like honest lonesome. Anyway, The Outer Plane of Nirvana is a 5th Edition compatible offering from Terra RPG detailing the outer plane of order and precision. Duck Slayer Games has a pair of supplements dealing with lycanthropy. There is My Character is a Werewolf and My Character is a Werebear, so covering the 2 most popular ones. Witch Encounters from Pet DM is a collection of 7 unique witch encounters for 5th Edition. I mean, I like Pet DM because they name their stuff exactly what you can expect. Anyway, Outer Seas, Val Carter's Guide to Merfolk is a 5th Edition collection of new creatures optimized for 5th Edition gameplay, as well as new spells, artifacts, and new playable species, and so forth. Folio of Fearsome Foes is a collection of action-focused monsters for use with 5th Edition. It looks like it is available in print on demand as well. LKD Products has a couple of domains for clerics of 5th Edition. There's Divine Domain Divination and Divine Domain Creation. They will eventually be found in an upcoming release, The Diversity of Divine Domains, set to release next month with many of these things, so it's sort of a preview purchase. Breath of Life, the Scout looks to convert the old 3.5 edition Scout class to 5th Edition. It's actually not a conversion, it's a new class that's inspired by it, but we know how it goes. Adventure Ripples has Aurelian class, a 5th Edition class that is the chosen of Apollo, the god of light and arts. Kobold Press has Midgard lineages and heritages compatible with Tales of the Valiant and includes new playable lineages, heritages, and backgrounds. Tonic Brewer is a barbarian subclass for Tales of the Valiant. It deals with a barbarian that dabbles in alchemy, sort of like a Mr. Hyde situation. Laboratory of the Homunculord is a Shadowdark RPG dungeon crawl featuring the laboratory of a vile and ancient wizard. Factions for Shadowdark is exactly what it says on the tin, a toolkit for making various factions for the Shadowdark RPG. The Lost Garrison is an adventure for Old School Essentials, available in print on demand, revolving around a keep that was overrun centuries ago. Lance and Tome, Appendix 6, Mass Combat, is a collection of rules for mass combat and wars for Old School and OSR systems. Red Wastes of Zothia is a sword and sorcery inspired RPG setting book, mostly made for the Kalarath RPG, but also generally OSR compatible. Scout Magazine Volume 3 is an OSR and Old School Essentials compatible supplement for new adventuring classes, new spells, backgrounds, psionic rules, and new monsters. Zimtaka of Zimrala is a solo adventure for Monsters, and compatible games, such as the one compatible game with Tunnels and Trolls, from Troll Godfather Press. Sir Pelamonor's game is a classic reprint of a vintage RPG of medieval magic adventures originally published between 1978 and 1981. Thunderlord's Tomb is in a one-page OSR-style dungeon, available in Shadowdark and Easy D6 versions. I need to get Easy D6, but I got a bunch of stuff to review already. Anyway, 100 Encounters in the Infinite Magical Library is an OSR-style offering that lets you generate various sights and wonders to encounter within the Infinite Magic Library. Monsters and Myths is a compendium of 1,200 rumors for any medieval fantasy RPG. The Serpent of Mildenhall is a Pendragon adventure dealing with a scaly monster on the road between Carlion and Londinium. Aegon Press has a couple of offerings for the Ars Magica system. There's Magic Defenses in Twilight, Magic and Laboratory Work, and the Fairy Realm. And I believe there's more, but those are the three that I managed to write down. Anyway, Sleepy Hollow Folk Magic is a supplement of folk magic, spells, charms, and so forth for the Sleepy Hollow tabletop RPG. Vampire Hunter is a solo horror RPG, a narrative-style one set in 1880s Germany, where you play an investigator chasing rumors of vampirism. Pulp Dreadful is a Victorian horror solo RPG designed around gothic horror micro-adventures. Chaosium has Cthulhu by Gaslight, Investigator's Guide, which takes Call of Cthulhu to 1880s Victorian England. The Menagerie of Forgotten Horrors is a 1920s third-party Call of Cthulhu scenario set in 1923 New York. 7 Days Till Cthulhu is a guided adventure for the Legacy of Cthulhu, covering what happens during Cthulhu's rise. Then there's Arkham Horror RPG, an Edge system Lovecraftian RPG set in 1920s New England. Depths of Derinkuyu is a scenario for Vampire the Masquerade set in Turkey. World of Darkness Sanctuaries offers a new background system and rules for various layers for World of Darkness, not only vampires but also other beings, as well as some sample sanctuaries. Lost Highway is a scenario for Mage the Ascension, dealing with a young runaway who's on the verge of awakening. Scion Shen expansion looks to be a third-party expansion for the Shen Pantheon with additional patrons, birthrights, boons, and so forth. Go Bag is a collection of new gear, weapons, upgraded weapons, and associated rules for Shadowrun 6th edition. Fallout, the role-playing game, Into the Abyss is an adventure for Fallout, the role-playing game. It deals with a small group of scavengers that have been salvaging things from the ocean. Night, an Avalon RPG, is an RPG set in 2037 where the world is being threatened by forces invaded, and then a man named Arthur arises and founds an organization of knights wielding armor, granting them superhuman abilities. Hermit King Studios has a couple of more entries into the Origin of Species Traveler Bestiary for 2nd edition Traveler. There are volumes 6 and 7. And then from somebody else, there's Creature Catalog, a collection of creatures for Traveler for wilderness or urban surroundings. Finally, there's a Zero G Issue 10, a science fiction role-playing magazine offering character fiction, templates, and so forth for the Starfighter system and associated systems. With that, we're going to move on to crowdfunding campaigns. Remember that contributing to crowdfunding campaigns should be done only at your own risk. Doing so is no guarantee of even receiving a product mentioned here is not an endorsement, but it is for informational purposes only. And once again, a few computer and console campaigns caught my eye. The time I have left will be an escape adventure RPG, where you are in a desolate city trying to survive mysterious creatures in a turn-based RPG. There is a demo available on Steam. Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade will be set in a fantasy Edo period where you face off against demons and try to carve out a path of peace. Once again, there is a demo available on Steam. Onwards towards tabletop offerings, the Ziggurat of Dr. Magnus Razor will be a 5th edition adventure dealing with a Ziggurat suitable for level 11 and 12 adventurers. If you're named like Magnus Razor, I mean, you're pretty much set to be a villain. Anyway, the crew of the Sea Tigers will be a compendium of material for 5th edition, dealing with a feared and legendary pirate crew. A Red Sky will be looking to fund a starter kit, a 5th edition compatible, of course, with an introductory adventure, pre-generated characters, and more for the Red Sky reimagined 5th edition low magic style system. Dragons of the Broken Earth will be a 5th edition high fantasy campaign with a sort of epic feel in a land ruled by dragons. Wrath of the Chimeras, the Emperor's Tower, will be a mini-adventure about a lost mage tower for 5th edition characters. The Slayer's Guild of Blood and Beasts will be a collection of hunts for 5th edition designed to be instantly implemented, just tracking down your creatures, finding their weaknesses, and finishing them off. Claws of Schwarzenberg will be a holiday horror RPG for 5th edition with, of course, Krampus, the ubiquitous Krampus. Architects of the Deep will be funding The Gift of Monsters, a 5th edition holiday adventure where presents in a festival are actually mimics. The Winter Solstice Merchant looks to be a 5th edition compatible supplement dealing with a winter merchant and her collection of enchanted items. Vendors of the Veil will be a collection of 30 shops that are 5th edition compatible that you can plug in roads, towns, etc. Soul Warden looks to be a class and associated subclasses as well as magic items, feats, etc. for 5th edition. Order of Taverns will be a guide to 50 unique taverns set up as organizations for 5th edition. Roll Flavor Cantrips will be a collection of thematic alternatives to basic cantrips for 5th edition. Gary's Appendix Issue 7 will be another OSR zine, this entire series, with articles, creatures, etc. for old school essentials and similar OSR systems. Plug and Play Dungeons Volume 4 will be a collection of dungeons and systems to go, and the subsystems to go with them, as well as background, factions, NPCs, and descriptions that can be used with any fantasy system. The Ghost of Brickpile Castle will be an adventure for Dragonbane, featuring a castle that must be cleansed of evil. Kin and Professions of Saturnus will be a supplement for Dragonbane, offering character options for the Saturnus setting. Puzzles for any system will be exactly what it says on the tin, a collection of 50 puzzles for any tabletop RPG. Looks to be mostly fantasy, but I'm sure you can adapt them to other things. Itzay, the Sunfall, will be a Mayan culture-inspired tabletop RPG. Will include not only just the rules, but also maps, cards, music, and so forth, to form a complete experience. It will be based on the D20 system. DC Heroes 40th Anniversary is trying to kickstart the reprint or return of the classic RPG system featuring DC superheroes with a faithful reissue with some upgrades, exclusive dice, and so forth, originally published back in 1985. Bit Odd in it is a tabletop RPG set in Great Britain where you play a teen living in a peculiar English village where odd things are happening. It's kind of one of those kids on bikes things, but in Britain. Finally, there's Icar Echoes of Oblivion, which will be a tabletop RPG with a new comprehensive system for post-apocalyptic science fantasy role-playing that is in dire need of a more copy. And on that point, I will wrap things up here. This has been the RPG Crawler with my RPG News Roundup for November 23rd, 2024. As always, links will be below. If you like what you see, remember to leave a like, comment, guide, feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Although I don't know how the comment system in YouTube is even working right now. I've been getting reports that people are having their comments just fall off or get deleted or stuff. I'm not doing it. It's YouTube. I have literally... I don't think I have any comment moderation. And I probably made a mistake saying that. I personally look through them, but yeah, it's YouTube. If you've been commenting and your stuff hasn't been showing up, don't get angry at me. It's YouTube's having issues. And for my American audiences, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving in this coming up week. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
And if you are still watching, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my supporters, the top tiers of which are listed on the screen, without whose support I would not have been able to offer the variety of content that I have on this channel throughout the years. If you're feeling particularly generous and would like to join them, you can support the channel. There are a variety of options to do so. I have a Patreon, a Subscribestar, as well as channel memberships enabled. If you are not in a position to contribute, simply leaving a like, a comment, or sharing my videos are all wonderful ways to help the channel grow without spending a dime, and are all greatly appreciated.